Hello and a warm welcome to Headingley and a sunlit Headingley for this Stones Bitter Championship match between Leeds and Hull. Hull's second league match of the season, and really conditions couldn't be any better than they are at Headingley today. The pitch as usual in perfect condition, a good crowd building up, a lot of Hull support here. There seems to be quite a lot of black and white favours in the crowd, and we're looking forward to an excellent game. As we look across the ground at the far side, the former terrace area, that's the big change over the summer months here at Headingley, has been turned into a seating area to give the ground a little more in the way of facilities, and Leeds like Hull moving forward in this way. Now let's look back at last week for a moment. The opening league matches, Hull last week defeated St Helens in a very close, exciting game by 20 points to 14, a game I think they were glad to win in the end and relieved to have won, while Leeds had rather a disastrous time, losing 32-22 to newly promoted Oldham, and also having Paul Harkin sent off in that game for tripping. But Harkin has been reprieved since then and found not guilty in the disciplinary meeting on Thursday, and he plays today. Now there's great pressure on Leeds to win. They've made a number of very expensive signings over the summer period, especially All Blacks rugby union fullback John Gallagher, and there are very, very high expectations from the Leeds public. They've had record season ticket sales here at Headingley, and their expectations are very, very high. Now Hull will come into this game with a lot of confidence. That win over St Helens last week was hard earned, but it will give the team a good start, and it's something that Hull have lacked in the last few seasons, and that was a real morale booster, a victory which was really led by the halfbacks Patrick Onta and Greg Mackey. Now before we run through the teams, I'll just ask Brian Holwell, who's here with me as usual, what he thinks the prospects are today, and whether he thinks Hull can win this game.
I certainly think Hull can win. Traditionally, the games between Hull and Leeds are always exciting, and certainly over the last 10 years, Hull have had the edge, whether it be at Headingley or at the Boulevard. I think the key is usually being the forwards. Something of a blow for Carl Harrison to be missing for Hull, but I think Ian Marlowe, the ex-rugby union player from Beverley, will fill in well. He's looked very, very promising in the A-team. He's big, he's strong, and he works hard. Of course, Harrison will be missed for his big breaks down the middle, but hopefully I don't think too much. As for Leeds, lots and lots of pace, as we always associate Leeds with pace, and it's the same again today. Gallagher at full-back. They've introduced the Kenyan winger, Rombo, on the left wing. A little bit of a risk, but again he's somebody of extreme pace, who Leeds hope will be another of fire. So it's a real test for him today. Also, something of a test I think for the three-quarter lines, because they've got three ex-rugby union players in the three quarters, in Bentley, Irving and Rombo, and only Carl Gibson, a genuine rugby league player. Whether that'll be a disadvantage in the end, only time will tell.
We can run through the two teams now. The Leeds lineup: fullback John Gallagher, on the wings John Bentley and Eddie Rombo, in the centres Simon Irving and Carl Gibson. Halfbacks David Creasy at standoff and Paul Harking at scrum half, and they're moving to the forwards. Number 8 moved up from the second row is Roy Powell, Colin Maskell as hooker, Paul Dixon prop. The second rows Gary Lord and Cavill Hugh, and loose forward the New Zealander Mike Cuiti. Leeds substitutes today Paul Delaney and Richard Gunn. The Hull side, well, only that one change from last week, an enforced change due to the injury to Carl Harrison. So running through the side, fullback Richard Gay, three quarters Paul Eastwood, Rob Nolan, Brad Webb and Neil Turner. Halfbacks Greg Mackey and Patrick Onta, and the forwards Andy Dannett moving across from 10 to 8, Lee Jackson, Ian Marlowe, John Sharp, Russ Walker and Steve McNamara. And the Hull substitutes today, Richard Price and prospective coach Noel Cleal. Here comes the referee. In fact, there's a change of referee. In the programme, we're billed as having Robin Whitfield today, but this is Kevin Allett, who's come out to the middle, one of the Rugby League's most senior referees. I think he's in his last couple of years as a senior referee now, a man of vast experience. So, a first division game that promises a lot. Very important for both sides. Conditions absolutely ideal. And this Headingley pitch and stadium as a whole, a great credit to the Leeds club. Paul Harkin will be Leeds' principal playmaker today. It'll be interesting to see how much he's settled down into the pattern of play, having been a close season signing from Bradford Northern. And he'll have a lot to prove today in view of the fact that his dismissal last week cost Leeds dearly. Though to be fair to him, he was found not guilty by the disciplinary committee on Thursday evening. So it's going to be Leeds to kick off. They're kicking towards the new scoreboard end here at Headingley. And everything's set for a great match. It's going to be David Creaser who's going to get us underway. And he kicks very deep. The ball bounces. Awkwardly for Paul Eastwood, but he gathers safely, comes away from his own line. But a good lead chase, and Eastwood has taken a matter of only a couple of yards from his line. Russ Walker. Andy Dannett on the charge. How long before he'll try the kicking game? Ontar works it to the whole right. Here's Marlowe, his first touch of the ball. The Leeds tackling is very keen. And McNamara puts in the clearing kick. Kicks onto Rombo's wing, as Brian predicted. Taken by John Gallagher. And he, in fact, is tackled well, but rather luckily the ball bobbles backwards, taken by Rombo. John Bentley. Establishing himself now in the rugby league game. Dixon brings it forward. Makes good yards. Leeds certainly fired up. Harkin calls the play on the right. And puts in a touch finder. And early in the game, Leeds establishing a good position inside the Hull 25. This scrum will go down about 10 yards away from the Hull line. And it will be a Hull put in and head. Patrick Ontar to feed. The scrum collapses, but it is a Hull ball. McNamara has it. And a kick through the play of the ball forces the error from Ontar, so Leeds have got a good position here, Brian.
Yeah, very dangerous position. Lovely little kick from Harkin that we've seen him do for over the years for Bradford Northern, for Hull KR. Excellent kick.
Leeds win the ball. They bring Bentley in from the right wing, but he's very well tackled by Greg Mackey and Richard Gay. Leeds move it to the left, and Hull come up with possession. Ian Marlowe makes the break, and that's a let-off for Hull. Leeds squandering possession on the second tackle. Ontar. Short ball to Dannett. Lacks support on his shoulder. Russ Walker gets there a bit late. John Sharp. Play now, 10 yards. Short of halfway. Dannett brings it up on the right, on the blind side. McNamara at acting halfback this time. And kicks towards Rombo's wing. Rombo takes the ball. Now let's see how quick he is. Runs into the tackle of Mackey and McNamara, and that's the end of his run. Here's Lord, signing a couple of years ago from Castleford, making his name now as a forward for Leeds. Harkin dummies the drop off and moves the ball out to Creaser, but Lee Jackson cleans up. Now here's Mackey. Marlowe, a long ball, good long ball to Neil Turner. Goes on the outside of Bentley, but hasn't got the pace to get round him. Quite promising for Hull that they're tackling very hard and dispossessing Leeds.
Yeah, it was good tackling. I didn't think Neil Turner did very well there, though. He should have stayed in play. He had men on his inside. And
a clear tackle sequence to go. The touch judge is in for something. Making a report. And he's calling out a Leeds player. Now the two Leeds players have been called out, Cavill Hugh and Colin Maskell. And a penalty, the result of it all is it's going to be a penalty to Hull. Did you see the incident, Brian?
Not at all. No, it's following play.
Looks like some sort of pushing or obstruction off the ball. Now, Paul Eastwood. Looks to me as if he's going to have a shot at goal. Well, this is a long way. He's, as you can see, he's just short of the 10-metre line from halfway, so this is a kick of some 41, 42 metres. Fairly central, and Paul Eastwood is, as we know, a strong goal kicker. Settles himself. Makes good contact. Is it straight? I think it's fading. No, it's over the goal. Fine kick by Paul Eastwood. So in the 7th minute, Hull take the lead with a well-struck goal by Paul Eastwood. And that's a good start for the Black and Whites. Good strike by Eastwood. Creaser kicks off again. Onta takes it, and lets Russ Walker have the run to bring the ball up. And he's very well tackled by Lord and Powell. And the effect of that is that Russ Walker is injured. And it looks to me as if he's clutching his jaw. I certainly didn't see anything in the tackle that was illegal. It was just a good, solid, hard hit. But the effect on Russ Walker seems to be quite serious. The referee has stopped play, and the whole physio was on very, very quickly. Walker certainly looks a bit groggy.
It looks concussed, Steve.
Yeah, certainly his head was jarred in the tackle there. A matter of some concern. Of course, you can't be too cautious with any injuries around the head area, can you, Brian?
No, they can be very, very serious. He's got up. I think he's just concussed. He's obviously very shocked.
Ian Marlowe.
Clinton's warming up on the other side.
Hull move it out to the left. Dannett makes a few yards. John Sharp now. Looks to get the ball away, but the Leeds tacklers are in. McNamara kicks this time. Over the halfway line. This time towards Bentley's wing. And it's a long ball out to John Gallagher. Now, we've heard Gallagher's got a lot of pace, but the whole chasers were up and made the tackle well. Russ Walker there, good to see him up on his feet and making the tackle. But the referee has caught Paul Eastwood offside on the right wing here. So Leeds have got a chance to put the ball down into Hull territory.
It was a risky, adventurous pass from Bentley. I didn't really see anything was on for Gallagher there. But obviously they think he's a danger man.
Now that penalty from Leeds gets them the second penalty, a matter of 35 yards from the Hull line. Harkin finds Dixon, who runs in that characteristic up-landing way, but the ball is coughed up by Hugh, I think it was, and the scrum goes down. So Leeds really haven't settled at the moment, and they haven't really played through a sequence of 6 tackles.
No, they haven't. Look, they're trying to move the ball, which clearly they've got to do, because I think they've got an advantage in pace in the backs, but the handling has been letting them down so far.
The referee orders a re-scrum from that, a little bit untidily, the ball coming out to Patrick Onta. That's a solid scrum. Richard Gay steps inside Gallagher. Made him look rather fragile in defence there. McNamara, Brad Webb. Well tackled by Creaser and Lord. Marlowe. Hull about 15 yards short of halfway. Lee Jackson from acting halfback, edging close to the halfway line. McNamara moves it to the left. Onta. Mackie. Long ball, beautiful ball to Brad Webb. Now here's some room for them. picks up John Sharp on the inside. The ball goes back. I think the referee has adjudicated. And Patrick Ontar has possession, and it's back to 1. Leeds touch the ball in the sequence of play, so Hull have got a great position now. Lee Jackson, 10 yards inside the Leeds 25. Ontar dummies to drop off one forward and brings Dunnett on the outside. Centre field, 15 yards away from the Leeds line. McNamara, Mackie, short ball to Walker. Walker makes half a break, goes through Gibson's tackle. 12 yards from the Leeds line. They move to the blind side. Mackie, ball out to the wing. 6 tackle against Hull. Rob Nolan will play the ball. Eastwood. Mackie kicks across the field. The ball bounces up, and a good probing grubber kick across the field, taken eventually by Irving. Brian, a promising Hull attack.
Yeah, we used our 6 tackles well then, but Leeds under considerable pressure.
Paul Dixon tries to bring it away, but Leeds only 10 yards from their line. Bentley runs from acting halfback, but doesn't get very far. Hull have made a good start to this game. This time Hugh tries to put the ball up, but well tackled by Marlowe and Dunnett. And the kick from Harking goes directly into touch on the 6th tackle. Marlowe runs on the outside. Jackson is acting halfback. They bring Sharp up close to the ruck. He makes a few more yards. About 8 yards from the Leeds line. Ontar. Inside ball to Dunnett. Ontar's down on the ground injured. Mackie takes the ball and runs it himself, and he's going to score! A fine try for Greg Mackie. Well, Brian, he kidded them all there by Hull had room on the left. They moved the ball to Mackie at first receiver, and he decided very, very early in that he was going to take the Leeds defence on, and he found them lacking, didn't he?
Yes, he was quick enough and strong enough. He went past through defenders then, where there's nothing really on. I don't know if you noticed, Steve, Ontar's getting some treatment there, and I thought the Leeds captain, Maskell, went through very late on him, and certainly meant the new Ontar was going to get the ball. He's been on the end of 2 hard tackles. It's obvious that Leeds think Ontar is probably Hull's weak link.
Perhaps that, or maybe they're trying to put him off his game.
Yes, so one or the other.
But what a start for Hull. 6-0. And Paul Eastwood with a relatively simple conversion. And good to see that decisiveness from Greg Mackie there. He spotted that the Leeds defence were hanging back. He took them on, and he beat 2 men in his run to the line. Eastwood's kick is successful, so Hull take an 8-point lead. A quarter of an hour of the game gone. So what a start. Now can they keep it up? So far in this game, Hull have looked steadier with the ball and better organised. Creaser to kick off again. Again to Hull's right, taken by Marlowe. Crosses the 25 before being tackled by Cavill, Hugh and Dixon. And a high tackle, I think, there on Walker. And that penalty awarded against Colin Maskell. So Hull with an immediate chance to gain yardage and put Leeds back under pressure. Eastwood to kick towards the south stand. He does. And Hull take the second penalty a matter of 12 yards inside the Leeds half. Dunnett. But he loses the ball in the tackle. Now Lord, Leeds move it quickly out to the right. Gallagher joins the line. Throws the ball out, rather fortunately, by Bentley, who throws the ball back in field. And what's happening there is the ball, they've kept the ball in play.
I thought I saw the touch judge's flag go up, Steve, for the earlier tackle, but obviously not.
Well, Leeds have possession, and Hull have been penalised for holding down. But John Gallagher threw out a ball there, which really Bentley did very well to clean up.
Very much a hit and hope pass. It bounced before it got there. Did very well, did Bentley, because it looked quite dangerous, because Leeds had a 4-2 on that side.
Leeds take the penalty, and they take the second tap kick just inside their own half. Here's Dixon hitting it up. Knocks off the tackle of Jackson, but Andy Dennett bottles him up. Powell. Maskell at acting halfback. Here's Harkin weaving his magic and opens up the gap beautifully for Gary Lord, who moves to the corner. Now here's a chance for Leeds, and it's a try to Gibson in the corner. A fine try, and really the whole defence beautifully opened up by Paul Harkin running across the field, dummying to runners on his inside, and then throwing out the ball to Gary Lord, who got inside between two Hull defenders, and he had the men outside to make it count. So Carl Gibson the scorer, and Leeds replying in good kind, but a typical bit of Paul Harkin magic, Brian.
Yeah, very, very good try. Ran across, dummied two people, and found Lord bursting through a gap. And Lord showed quite a lot of pace to get away from the Hull defenders, and a perfectly timed pass to Gibson. Very, very good try.
So it's just what Leeds needed and what Hull didn't. And here's the conversion attempt. And it falls short. Simon Irving, in fact, the goal kicker. So, here we are after 20 minutes of play, and it's Leeds 4, Hull 8. And this has all the prospects of an excellent game, Brian.
Absolutely. I think we're going to see many more tries today.
And a good example in that try, the sort of damage that Paul Harkin can do. And remembering his past performances for Bradford Northern and Hull KR, he seems to specialise in putting Hull under pressure. McNamara kicks off. It's a good, deep, long kick taken by Gibson over his own line. Runs the ball back and breaks to the first tackle. Gets within 5 yards of the 25-yard line. Kuwaiti. Powell. Roy Powell makes break, gets through some rather hesitant tackling, and again Hull are penalised. Ontar penalised again for holding down. The tackle had been made, and as Powell regained his feet, that extra little push gave the referee the chance to give the penalty. Now we have a Hull player injured. McNamara is down, receiving attention. Meanwhile the penalty goes ahead, and Leeds now get a position inside the Hull half. A very important phase this of the game for Hull. They've made a good start. Leeds have replied. They need to keep them out. This time Powell is tackled well by Walker and Jackson. Harkin again. Well taken by Russ Walker. Good marker defence by Walker. Read the play well. Dixon runs in that very upright style. Harkin kicks to the touchline over Eastwood's head, and Eastwood sensibly allows the ball to go into touch. So the scrum will go down just inside the Hull 25. Harkin beginning to get into the game.
Yes, another very good kick by Harkin.
And the referee penalises Hull on top for own feet at that scrum. So this is a differential penalty to Leeds. And Leeds have had the assistance of a few penalties in the last few minutes, which has given them position.
Yes, I think that was perfectly fair, though. I mean, there's feeding and feeding.
So long as we get consistency. So Leeds have an excellent position here. Meanwhile, Hull are making a substitution. Steve McNamara is off and Noel Cleal is on. 23rd minute. Again, Leeds lose the ball. Hull have got it. Hugh, the guilty party this time. Richard Gay runs it away from acting halfback. Dunnett brings it forward. Marlowe checks and comes inside and makes the 25-yard line. John Sharp's turn to bring it up this time, and again.
Maskell, that's twice he's caught Maskell in the last 5 minutes.
I wonder if in the try when Hull scored the try, I think I saw the touch judge mention to the referee about the tackle by Maskell on time. I wonder if he's pegged him a couple of times for that.
Maybe, yes, maybe he has.
So Hull take the tap penalty. Marlowe brings it up. Lee Jackson. Russ Walker comes on the blind side, makes good yards. Just inside the Leeds half, 10 yards in from touch. John Sharp runs it up hard. Cleal on the blind side. It's the ball away to Eastwood. Marlowe runs it infield. And Eddie Rombo getting some cheers for doing some tackling. Mackie goes for the bomb. Onto Bentley's wing. Onto Gallagher. Gallagher takes the ball, immediately tackled by Brad Webb and Neil Turner. On the Leeds 25. Irvin comes in field. Signed for Leeds earlier in the year from the Headingley Rugby Union Club, but a boy who has a bit of a rugby league background. Gallagher pops up on the outside to support his wingman. Harkin. Dixon. 10 yards outside their own quarter. Harkin, a long ball. And Hull are penalised for offside. That decision coming rather late in proceedings there.
Yes, there have been 3 passes made.
And that's, again, relieved some of the pressure for Leeds because they were late in the tackle count and hadn't really made much progress forwards. Gallagher kicks towards the south stand touchline. Ian Marlowe is meanwhile receiving some attention as Leeds take the second penalty just inside the Hull half. Harkin runs himself this time. Powell. It's a few yards forward. Harkin runs across the field, picks up Hugh. Leeds now have position 10 yards short of the Hull quarter. Maskell. And Creaser juggles with the ball. In the end, does very well to take it. Leeds move it to the right. Harkin kicks again. And no doubt about his game plan. It's to pin Hull inside their own quarter. And he's kicking very well.
Yeah, he's brilliant kick. Had a lot of room then. Hull didn't really move up on him quickly enough. He's got an awful lot. I mean, he's a very experienced player, but he seems to have an awful lot of room today.
So the scrum goes down a matter of only 8 or 9 yards away from the Hull line. Ontar wins the ball from the scrum. And again, rather stupidly, Bentley comes in over the top. The tackle had been made. They certainly seem to have singled Ontar out for attention.
Yes, certainly. That's the 3rd time he's been on some very rough treatment, Ontar.
Mackie kicks for touch on that side. And Hull take second penalty just short of the 25. Andy Dunnett almost breaks through the tackle. Lee Jackson away from acting halfback, but the Leeds marker's up to the job. On top picks up Richard Gay, who going forward. Dunnett again, who's getting through a mountain of work. Onta kicks to Bentley's wing. Bentley takes the ball well. Oh, what a ball to John Gallagher. Did very well to pick it up. Well, I think that's one back from the one Gallagher gave him before. Bentley now appears as a forward, bringing the ball up the middle. And this time Lee Jackson is penalised for knocking the player down on regaining his feet to play the ball. And Hull are giving silly penalties away of this sort at the moment. Well, both sides are.
Well, Hull are certainly putting themselves under pressure. They're under enough pressure from Harkin's kicks as it is territorially.
And a kick by...
Well, the fault they just found touch on Hull's 25 again. Again, Hull are under pressure. Leeds 6 tackles.
Harkin picks up Powell. He just crosses the 25-yard line. Dixon. And Clealer, superb tackle, takes the ball from him in a man-and-ball tackle. Sharp finds some room for Marlowe, but the ball goes to ground. Eastwood coming in, couldn't take the pass. And Hull under pressure again. Leeds will have the feed and head at this scrum.
I think Marlowe should have kept going there, Steve. A little bit of inexperience.
Always a risky ball, that. And this time Harkin is penalised for feeding. And, well, that was as clear a decision as the last one. So Paul Eastwood will kick to touch. Been some good football and also a bit of scrappiness with the penalties, Brian.
Yes, there has, yeah. It's a little bit like last week's game against St Helens, Steve. Both sides are making breaks and then not really playing for 6 tackles.
John Sharp brings the ball up, 5 yards inside the Leeds half. Dunnett was a bit further forward. Noel Cleal breaks out of a tackle, meets Q80 though, and that's stops him. Couldn't quite find support on his outside there, Cleal. Onta, long ball to Mackie, chips over the top. His turner onside, couldn't take the ball. And Leeds have come up with it, I think. It's Irvin, 10 yards from his own line. Bentley brings the ball in field. Harkin finds Dixon this time. A good tackle by Marlowe. I've been impressed with his tackling so far. This time Hugh. Gary Lord. Lightweight forward really, but runs very strongly. Now back to Gallagher for the kick. Hull trying to get pressure on. And Eastwood, I'm afraid, knocks on. The ball dipping in front of him, and Paul Eastwood knocks on. So, again, Leeds relieved the pressure, really through a whole mistake.
Yes, they did, and they're relieving it through kicking and mistakes. I can't say that Leeds forwards are really bringing the ball away, Steve. I think Hull are starting to get on top there.
They certainly only made about 10 yards in 4 plays, though. But this is a danger man, Harkin. Gibson, dummies, takes on Mackie and Nolan, but they don't fall for that. Harkin again. Q80 this time, dangerous runner. But very well tackled by Russ Walker. And Walker is penalised for offside. Q80 took a quick play of the ball with no marker in place, and Russ Walker, coming back from having made the tackle, is penalised for offside. So Leeds at the moment gaining most of their yardage through penalties that Hull are conceding. Now place to restart 5 yards short of the Hull quarter line. Dixon Just about makes it to the 25-yard line. Powell. Well tackled by Lee Jackson and Marlowe. This time Harkin brings Lord into play, and they work the blind side with Kuwaiti. Tackled by Mackey and Walker. Now Leeds try to move the ball across the line. Here's Dixon, but what a great tackle by Marlowe again. Harkin goes for the drop goal, but it's wide, and there's no danger. But what I've been very impressed with Ian Marlowe's tackling, Brian.
Really two very, very heavy tackle. Excellent, that tackle there.
And at the moment, Ian Marlowe is proving to be more than an admirable replacement for Carl Harrison. Here's Noel Cleal running close to the ruck. And Cleal is sin-binned for stamping, I think, on Colin Maskell at the play of the ball. You've got to say that's bad discipline, really.
Bad discipline, unforgivable, because he's eminently kickable position. It's what, just over 30 metres out, fairly straight. But go back to Marlowe's tackling, Steve. In two sequences of 6 tackles, he put 2 really heavy tackles on both the Leeds props, and they really felt it, really drove them back. Tremendous tackling for such a relatively inexperienced forward.
They were classic blockbuster tackles, really, weren't the sort where he hit in the ribs and lift the player off the ground. Irvin's kick is successful. So, Hull's lead down to 2 points now. About 6 minutes to go to half-time. Possibly a little bit longer with the injury time we had for Walker's knock. And the score is Leeds 6 and Hull 8. But I can't help feeling that Hull have contributed to their own downfall a little bit here.
You feel that Hull just have to settle down, get the forward play right, and they'll break Leeds down the middle.
Mackey kicks off to Leeds' left. The ball taken by Gibson, was on the dead ball line. That was a good kick-off. He runs at Patrick Ontar, runs through his tackle. Ontar was going rather high there. Jackson has to clean up. This time Maskell dummies away from acting half-back. Now he's made the break. Has he got support? But has to take Richard Gay's tackle. Gay makes the tackle copybook fashion. Leeds on the boil now. Harkin moves it to the left to Creaser. Kuwaiti. Nolan in with a man and ball tackle, but good tackle by Eastwood on Powell. And Eastwood kicks through the play of the ball. I can't think that was a particularly good idea. But he comes back to try and take Gibson. Doesn't make him, but he is taken by Brad Webb. So I suppose that was worthwhile, because Leeds are now 20 yards inside their own half. Lord brings it up from first receiver. Leeds move it to their left. Now here's Eastwood in possession. A ball dispossessed from Kuwaiti's hands by strong tackling from Walker. Lee Jackson runs away from acting half-back, gets the ball away to Ontar, who slips as he meets Dixon. Dannett, and the ball goes to the ground. And Leeds in possession, just outside their own 25. And Hull are penalised for Andy Dannett saying something to the referee, and again that's bad discipline, Brian.
Yeah, another completely unnecessary penalty given away by Hull, because Leeds again weren't really clearing the line, Steve.
Now this time they take a top penalty instead of going for touch. Can't quite understand that. Harkin pirouettes and almost dummies his way through. Roy Powell brings it up, straightens his back and must lifts the Hull tacklers. Harkin on the blind side. Kuwaiti running wide, but a good tackle by Russ Walker, assisted by Paul Eastwood. Here's Rombo, running from acting halfback, but easily tackled by John Sharp. Six tackle. Harkin kicks. This time he doesn't make touch. And Rob Nolan picks the ball up. But can't outpace the Leeds defence covering across. Brad Webb gets rid of the ball to Richard Gay, but he's tackled by Leeds tacklers in good number there. John Sharp. On to Neil Turner. And Leeds have come up with the ball. Turner loses it. So here's a great chance for Leeds. Maskell. Missed tackle by Ontar. And here's a chance. Cavill Hugh on the charge. It's a matter of 5 yards from the Hull line. Are Hull going to pay for this? They're short on the left. And Gallagher cleans up the ball and is taken a matter of a couple of yards away from the Hull line. From acting half-back goes Rombo. Now Hull have stretched. And Hull have got the ball, I think. Coming through from the play of the ball, and eventually Ontar ends up with it. Richard Gay comes forward, makes a few yards. Hull did well to survive that. Very
good. Some very good defence on the line. Well, Leeds did show a little lack of imagination there, Steve.
Dannett takes it from very flat pass from Lee Jackson. 35 yards out from their own line. Ontar, Mackie. Oh, lovely inside ball to Marlowe, who gets it away to...
Must be a free kick to Hull there. The Leeds man obstructed Mackie as he tried to support.
The referee's called it right. And Hull have the penalty midfield. Eastwood kicks to the main stand. That's a pretty reasonable kick. They take the second penalty just inside the Leeds half, about 6-7 yards. John Sharp hits it up hard. Oh, and Ontar spills the ball without much pressure on him. And he seems to be struggling a little bit today.
He's had an unhappy last 10 minutes. He's missed a couple of tackles, and earlier on he's given 2 penalties away for holding down, and that was a completely unforced error there.
So Leeds back in possession. Here's Harkin, finds some room on the blind side. Takes on Nolan, but eventually is tackled. We're getting close to the interval. Maskell takes the ball himself. Takes a hard tackle. Here's Powell. 6 tackle. Hull work the short side. Dixon chips ahead, but well taken by Paul Eastwood. Brilliant take. Now Hull have got to try and play through the 6 tackles. I think we're very close to the half-time break. John Sharp hits it up. Lee Jackson makes a few yards from acting half-back. Well, not going too far forward in this sequence. Andy Dannett. Lovely ball to slip to Brad Webb. 6 tackle. Neil Turner. Oh, and the ball is charged down by Lord. And really, I thought Mackie could have put a clearing kick in there. Didn't seem to be too much on for Turner myself. Leeds on the pressure. Leeds take the pressure again. A good tackle by Marlowe again. Harkin finds a gap up the middle and this looks dangerous. And here's a try to Dixon. He's over. Close to the post. Try created by Harkin and Hooker Maskell, who worked the area around the ruck very, very well. And Paul Dixon was there to support, and just a try at the wrong time for Hull.
Yeah, it certainly was. A neat little pass to Maskell right through the centre of the ruck. There's a gap there, and Dixon supporting. Nice try by Leeds. Bad play by Hull, though. As Steve said, really, Mackie should have cleared the line. There was nothing on for Turner when he gave him the ball. It wasn't a particularly good kick from Turner either, but Hull somehow have lost the poise. And they've got to get that back. I think after the kick it'll be just about half-time, and I think Hull certainly need that.
And the game really has taken on a remarkably similar pattern to last week's, because a similar sequence of play last week, St Helens scored just before half-time with Cleal off the field as he is now.
That's right. Yes, well, let's hope lightning strikes twice and Hull come out in the second half refreshed, Steve.
Irvine has no problems with the conversion. And so, right on the stroke of half-time, Leeds hit the lead for the first time. They lead here by 12 points to 8. And Hull have it all to do. Mackie to kick off. Kicks again to this left wing. And the ball is misfielded by Rombo, goes over his own dead ball line. And Leeds will drop out from under the post. So mistake from the kickoff by the novice Kenyan wingman. Cleal is back on, so...
A lot of injury time this first half, Steve.
Rob Nolan runs in field and brings the ball back into the Leeds quarter, but time is running out for Hull. Ian Marlowe brings it up. So we're very close to the hooter now. Onta. Long ball to Mackie. Out to Brad Webb. Steps inside beautifully. Steps inside Irving's tackle, but well taken in the end by Creaser. Onta. Lee Jackson. And here's a chance for Noel Cleal. And he's there on the stroke of half-time. Cleal replies for Hull with a brilliant try. And really good work by Lee Jackson in that. And Cleal on hand, and immediately on his return, to storm through a couple of Leeds tacklers and make the line. Good try, Brian.
Excellent try, and what's he been on, a minute? Less than a minute. He does it again. He's under the posts.
Good play by Lee Jackson in that play as well.
He took the ball on the ball. The spectators thought it was a forward pass, but it wasn't. Lee took it on the base, went straight through, and there was Cleal. The support was there. Cleal was just too strong for the last two Leeds defenders.
And as so often in rugby league, the situation was created partly by the previous play, because I'm sure that Brad Webb stepping inside Irving and making a few more yards forward sucked more Leeds defenders in, and that created a few little gaps on the fringe of the ruck, which they exploited.
It seems to me, Steve, it was an example we said earlier where Hull just have to steady down, and I think they can take this game because they can break Leeds' defence. There's no doubt about that.
Leeds have certainly looked vulnerable inside their own quarter. So the score's locked up at 12 each. Paul Eastwood with a chance to put Hull ahead right on half-time. It does seem to have been a very long first half. Eastwood is successful, so Hull back in the lead by 14 points to 12. And there is the half-time hooter. So what a great reply by Hull, just on the stroke of half-time, having conceded a try a couple of minutes earlier. Noel Cleal back on the field, Hull back to their complement of 13 men. And really, I suppose if you trace that try back a little bit further, it goes back to the Kenyan wingman's mistake from the kickoff, because Leeds had to drop out. They didn't drop out very far, and it was from the resulting pressure that Hull were able to score. But overall, Hull go in with a 14 to 12 half-time lead in what has been a very entertaining game. And Brian Holwell, I think you think Hull can do this one?
I think so. It's just a matter of settling down. I'm surprised both sides are making so many mistakes because the conditions out there are ideal. There's very little wind, fairly warm, but not that warm. And lots of jittery handling errors when people are not under pressure. But I think if Hull settle down, I think they've got too much power in the pack for Leeds. They look much more dangerous when they get into the Leeds quarter than Leeds do. And apart from Harkin and his kicking and his short balls, it doesn't seem to me that Leeds offer that much.
And I certainly think Brian Smith will be having a word about the unnecessary penalties at half-time, because Hull have really contributed to much of the pressure put on them by giving Leeds good field positions.
Yeah, completely unnecessary penalties. I've already commented on Taz giving at least two away, but no picking on Taz. Other people have for offside, answering back, all sorts of manner of things. Quite unnecessary.
So there we are, an excited Headingley, and at half-time, Hull have the lead by 14 to 12. We'll be back for the second half shortly. So Leeds have taken the field for the second half, and Hull trot out, looking fairly confident. I think the key to this second half is going to be how far Paul Harkin, who's certainly been the Leeds danger man in the first half, can recreate the sort of play that created that first Leeds try. He's the playmaker supreme, and it's his running and passing which has caused Hull most of the problems. And on the Hull side, scrum half Patrick Ontar, who had a very fine game on his debut last week, has been busy today, but he's made a few errors as well. So it's Hull to kick off, start of this second half. And Mackie gets us underway. The ball taken by Harkin deep inside his 25, and Gibson is given the job of running it away. Gibson falls short of the 25, tackled by Cleal and Jackson. Roy Powell. Hugh. Dixon. Again, he knocks off the tackle of Lee Jackson, but taken by Marlowe. Gallagher kicks. The ball sits up quite well for Richard Gay. And he's met by solid Leeds tackling. Kuiti and Hugh make the tackle. Ian Marlowe. Lee Jackson finds a little bit of room from dummy half. Scampers 5 or 6 yards. Mackie kicks. Again towards Leeds left. It's taken by Gallagher. Now he's faced by Andy Dannett. All tacklers up in number. Jackson and Sharp make the tackle. Harkin is at acting halfback. Lord. This time Powell. Bit of fancy footwork from Big Roy. Creaser out to Kuiti. Steps through the tackle of Walker. Still going forward. And tackle just on the halfway line. Good quick play of the ball. Harkin finds room on the short side, but a good tackle by Eastwood on Gibson. But Gibson picks himself up and moves, but there was danger there for Hull, wasn't there, Brian?
Well, yes, they're outnumbered on that blind side there.
Harkin kicks for touch and makes it. Gets a position again inside the Hull 25. And that was a good kick because he had very little angle to work with. So the scrum will go down about 20 yards away from the Hull line. Oh, and the ball from Ontar to Richard Gay, who was coming in as a kind of standoff there, goes to ground, and now Leeds have got a great position. And that's really just what Hull didn't want. Harkin wins the ball, takes Ontar on, but he reads play pretty well and stops him. Kuiti runs across the field from dummy half. Leeds moving towards the posts. 15 yards short. Here's Hugh. Hugh makes room, makes yardage close to the ruck. Leeds have got a roll on here. Harkin, Maskell. Tries to break through Ontar's tackle, but he's up to it. Harkin again. Short side. The ball to Dixon. And he's stopped about a yard short of the line. 6 tackle. What will Leeds do? And the ball is taken by Hull player, who is injured in the process. Was there a suspicion of offside there? The Leeds fans thought so.
But of course Hull didn't have to go back 10 yards. They were on their own line, Steve, so they moved up obviously very quickly and got them on the attackers.
Now, I haven't quite identified the injured player yet. It's Lee Jackson. Russ Walker plays the ball. Taken by Ian Marlow, who doesn't make much yards forward. Dunnett scampers a few. Takes 5. John Sharp, rather risky ball to Mackey. On top, picks up, cleans up. Ball out to Brad Webb, but Neil Turner has to go back to retrieve. And Hull a little bit too adventurous there. John Sharp comes up the short side of the ruck. And Hull make their 25. Now surely a long kick downfield to gain distance. Mackey kicks. Right straight to Gallagher, who's got a bit of room to move this time. Comes to halfway line, runs across, and almost breaks out of the tackle of Walker. Leeds 5 yards inside the Hull half. Powell finds some room on the short side. On the left. Maskell. Dixon. 5 minutes of the second half. Hull clinging on to a 2-point lead. Dropped off beautifully. Here's Hugh dropped off by, and here's a chance for Irving, and he goes inside Richard Gay and scores. And really, again, it's that architect, Paul Harkin, who beautifully opened up the whole defence by dropping off Cavill Hugh inside him, and Simon Irving supported as a good three-quarter should do, as centre should do, and he steps inside Gay's tackle for the try. So Leeds have had the pressure in the second half, and really that try was looked like coming.
Yes, it did. We haven't been able to take the pressure off ourselves. Our sequence of 6 and out 25, we weren't really going anywhere. In the first half, we're clearing the 25 with ease, but we seem to be rushing and we're doing the wrong thing, making the wrong decisions and being rather too adventurous. But that was a good try by Leeds. Again, Harkin, as you said, Steve, simple little drop-off. Hugh made the break, centre was there, and he went round Gay surprisingly easily. I don't think Gay laid a hand on him.
No, he didn't. He stepped inside him and made it look easy. So this is the same player, Simon Irving, with a chance to convert, which he does quite easily. So Leeds back in the lead by 18-14. And Hull have got to find a way of stopping Paul Harkin opening up these gaps. Mackey kicks off. Harkin takes it, and again Gibson. Taken by Ontar, rather high, but tackle is made. And Greg Mackey doing a bit of play acting, I think, there. Playing for the penalty. Powell. Now it's important that Hull establish some sort of territorial grip on the game. Dixon, good tackle by Ian Marlow again. Harkin kicks to Hull's left hand side. Richard Gay comes across to take the ball. He has Neil Turner with him. Turner takes the ball, but the Leeds tacklers are there in number, and I would have thought that was holding down, certainly Irving over the top there, and Leeds undoing the good work of the chase, Brian. Yes,
Leeds are quite fired up there with that chase. I think the game's starting to boil a little bit, because I thought Hull, when the chase, some of the tackles, just last 3 or 4 tackles have been quite hard, and both sides realised we were into a very critical 10 minutes.
So Hull from the penalty get a position about 15 yards from the Leeds quarter. Jackson to Ontar. Ian Marlow hits it up. Ontar. Mackey. Andy Dannett. Jackson tries to open up some space close to the ruck for Ontar, but the Leeds markers stay with him. Here's Marlow, and Hull just inside the Leeds 25. They move it quickly to the left. Here's Mackey, a long ball out to Brad Webb. Now what can Webb do? He's just ankle tapped by Irving, but he keeps moving. And here's a chance for Neil Turner. and he's stopped short. Covering tackle by Dixon, but good Hull play, a good pass from Greg Mackey out to Brad Webb, who does look dangerous going forward.
Does it? We just haven't really given enough balls, Steve. It looked very, very dangerous then.
So Leeds have got the put in at the scrum, 5 or 6 yards from their own line, and Harkin is tackled by Mackey. Now it's important that Hull keep Leeds here. Irving. Maskell dummies from the acting halfback position. Makes a couple of yards. Powell. That's 4 of the 6 gone, I think. Gallagher's clearing kick. Richard Gay takes the ball quite safely and makes the tackles very well. Excellent reply by Richard Gay, makes fully 30 yards. Play 10 yards outside the Leeds quarter. Onta, Mackey. A ball out to Brad Webb, but he has to check and take a bouncing ball. Neil Turner from acting halfback makes 10. Marlowe on the drop off from Onta inside the Leeds quarter. Sharp drops off Dunnett. Dunnett still going. No support on his inside. 6 tackle. What will Hull do? Some sort of kick. Onta. Marlowe is beautifully tackled, and that's the 6th tackle. Good tackle by Irving and Lord. Hull tried that play of getting men over on the 6th tackle, but would a kick been a better option?
Well, perhaps, Steve, but it was a good 6 tackles. That was good, solid running by Hull. Nothing very fancy, but they made progress. No, I think I'm probably right to try to tackle these and keep them down here.
So a penalty has been awarded, and Leeds take the 2nd kick here. Here's Harkin, Dixon. Powell. Wrapped up by Dunnett and Sharp. Harkin at first receiver, switches the ball to the other side of the ruck. Kuita gets the ball out, but Hull have got it. Ball spilled by Hugh. Wasn't a good pass from Kuita. Mackey. Greg Mackey makes the break. Here's Nolan. And Hull back to the Leeds 25. Cleal takes the ball. Almost it's in the way of Onta. And the referee awards a penalty for Cleal, against Cleal, for not playing the ball. So Hull, having got the good position, then come up with the error. A harsh decision, Brian?
I don't know. I think it's probably right. I don't think Cleal made contact with the ball. I think he's arguing that he was pulled by the Leeds player, so he couldn't. But a bad blob really by Cleal.
12 minutes gone in the second half, and Hull trail by 18 points to 14. That try early in the second half by Simon Irving, putting Hull behind again. Lord brings it up and breaks through some rather flimsy tackling. Goes over the halfway line. Harkin. Powell. Dixon. Harkin, good ball to Kuiti. But Leeds haven't gone very far forward yet. And Bentley makes a break from acting up. He goes to Onta's tackle now then. It's a ball balanced runner. He gets the ball away to Creaser. And here's a chance for Irving. And I think he's in at the corner. He's in at the corner. And really, Hull caught out again around the ruck area. Hull have fallen behind by 8 points now with the kick to come. Brian.
Poor defence round the ruck there. Bentley just picked the ball up and went. He went 30 yards. Looks as though he's going to take Gay on himself. Then he went across field, picked up Creaser, who put Irving in the corner. Good piece of play by Leeds.
So Hull have certainly got problems now. Score at 22-14. And the kick from Irving to come. It's a difficult one. It's only a few yards in from the right-hand touchline. His kick looks good, but falls short and to the left of the post. So it's 8 points now. Leeds have that cushion. And Hull have got to make sure that they establish some sort of territorial claim inside the Leeds half. Hull make a substitution. Richard Price comes on for Patrick Onta. And I presume Mackie will move to scrum half. So in the 15th minute of the second half, Hull now have got a tall order. Greg Mackie kicks off again. The replay of the previous players. Here's Gibson bringing it back. Hugh. But Hull have the ball. Richard Price crawling towards the line. Now here's a chance for Hull to come back into it. Brad Webb. But he too loses his foothold. Mackie. Hull move it to the right. John Sharp tries to take the tackle and offload, but it's tackled man and ball by Cavill Hugh. Plays the ball to himself with no marker. 5 yards from the Leeds line. Mackie. Price. Noel Cleal comes back in field. It's the ball away to Mackie. Richard Gay. Price. Comes back in field. Kicks through, but that's far too strong. And the ball goes over the dead ball line. It'll be a tap restart on the 25 for Leeds. And here they bring it away with Gibson. Wrestles through the tackle of Walker. Taken by Dannett. Bentley again at acting halfback. And again Cleal takes the ball. Well done. Brad Webb. This time Irving catches him. Hull just short of the Leeds quarter. Neil Turner makes a good 10 yards. Mackie, Price, Walker picks up Price on his inside. Play on, says the referee. Price, one knee on the ground. Sharp takes the ball himself. Inside ball to Marlow. Tackle just short of the line. Very good tackle by Roy Powell. There's a chance for Hull. Dennett. Held up on the lineman, and the tackle made. The ball comes away to Gibson. And he manages to clear his own 25. The ball eventually is tackled by Mackie. So Leeds cleared their line well, and Mackie, I think, is injured. The referee is attending to himself as the Hull trainer comes on. But Hull had a chance there.
Yeah. I thought Hull were going to score. Marlow did very well to take the inside ball. It's kind of combined tackle of Gallagher and Powell that Denani was just stopped a yard short. But Cleal started to dominate the game physically at the moment. Last three tackles, he's taking the ball off the Leeds players.
Powell. Tackled by Dannett and Walker. The Leeds forwards running with a little bit more urgency and determination than they were in the first half. And this time it's Hugh who coughs the ball up again, and Dannett has it. It's vital that Hull score now. Here's some room for Marlow. That should be back to 1. Walker should take the tackle. Hull have a clear 6 again. All kicked through. No knock-on, says the referee. Dannett charges towards the 25. 6 tackle again. Cleal comes close to the ruck. Good ball to Nolan. Holding down at the play of the ball. And Sunminning, I think, for Harking, is it? No? Oh, and Leeds come away with the ball. It comes to Maskell. Cleal trying to offload close to the line. Little bit unlucky Hull there. It's just not going their way at the moment. Gibson. Hugh. Forward pass. Again, they're getting that timing wrong close to the ruck. And Leeds showing the signs of pressure, Brian.
Yes, sir. That next 10 minutes could be vital with Harkin off the field, Steve. Because he's done so much for them in this game.
What commentating? We're not stopping.
What he's saying is you're coming through their system, you can stuff.
I don't know what he's saying. We're getting on with our commentary. Mackie. Hull win the ball from the scrum. Brad Webb runs away from acting halfback and almost gets to the tackle of Bentley. Turner. 5 yards from the Leeds line. Lee Jackson tries it. Almost slips out of the tackle. Turner. He's there, he's in. He's got wriggled through from the play of the ball to score. And we have a Hull try. And I wondered if that work close to the ruck there was going to pay off, but Neil Turner has the strength. And he wriggles through the tackle to score. So Hull are back in the game. 22 points to 18. Brian.
Can't say that was very attractive, Steve. 4 successive drives on the play of the ball, but it worked.
That's the try that counts. Now Paul Eastwood, can he convert this try? The Leeds crowd booing, but the referee had a very good view of that. He was in great position.
It was right on the spot.
So 22 to 16 with Eastwood's kick to come. So Paul Eastwood with this vital kick. Strikes it well, but it just fades away to the right-hand side. So the score remains Leeds 22 and Hull 18. And we have about quarter of an hour to go. And what a last quarter of an hour in prospect.
I think so. Tremendous. I think Richard Gunn's just coming on for Leeds. He's warming up on the sideline.
The Leeds haven't made a substitution so far. Gunn is warming up. Creaser kicks. And the ball goes straight into touch. So Leeds beginning to put the pressure on themselves. Hull have the penalty on the halfway line. Now, is Eastwood contemplating a kick at goal? Trying the wind, I think. There's very little of it. Now he's going to kick to the south stand side. His kick just gains a few yards, and Hull take the restart from 10 yards inside the Leeds half. Marlowe brings it up for first receiver. Done it this time. A few yards further forward. Noel Cleal makes the 25, and he's beginning to look very dangerous now. Mackey. Richard Price. It's the ball away to Walker. Wriggles out of a tackle. Back to the 25. Leeds short on their left. Hull's right. Nolan comes inside the tackles. About 12 yards from the Leeds line. Fifth tackle. Greg Mackey. And the sixth tackle is called. The ball did strike a Leeds player, but the ball played the man rather than man the ball, and the referee, I think, is absolutely right there. So Leeds have the turnover, and a penalty awarded against Leeds, against Kuwaiti, for holding at the play of the ball.
I think so. I think he held the whole man off. A little bit unfortunate decision at this stage of the game, 10 yards from your own line, but the referee was quite definite about it.
So Paul Eastwood puts it into touch, and Hull will have a restart about 20 yards from the line. Done it. Vital stage of the game, this. Ian Marlowe. 10 yards short of the Leeds line. Now what can Hull do? They move it to the left. Mackey. Run around with Sharp. Noel Cleal. Comes back up close to the ruck. Good tackle this time by Powell. Lee Jackson. Noel Cleal from knocking half-back, and he's there, he's over. Cleal's in again. And Hull have got right back into the game. The scores are now level. And Cleal has looked very dangerous close to the line. Brian.
Yeah, he did. He made a break that Steve said. A good tackle from Roy Powell stopped him, played the ball. Lee Jackson ran off, then turned the ball back inside to Cleal, who was supporting, and Cleal went over near the post. Wonderful try.
So the scores locked up at 22 points each. I thought another feature of that try, Brian, was that a Leeds player feigned that he'd got a kick in the face from Cleal at the play of the ball, and as a result, their marker defence was woeful.
That's right, they got up remarkably quickly after it. Was Paul Dixon.
So that play acting certainly didn't work. So Eastwood has a chance to Hull to retake the lead. 22 points each. What a game this has been. We've played 28 minutes of the second half. And Paul Eastwood straight in front of the posts. He's successful. Hull ahead, 24-22. What should be their tactics in the last 10 minutes, Brian?
Just to calm it down, Steve, I think, just to calm it down.
They want to play as little as possible in their own quarter, don't they? But
most of all, they've got to play 6 tackles. They've got to use the forwards for this last 10-12 minutes of the game.
Richard Gunn makes his way onto the field. Substitution for Gary Lord, I think. And Creaser is off. He's been replaced by Delaney, so Leeds have made a double change. Done it. Russ Walker thinks about offloading to Jackson coming through, but sensibly I think holds on. Sharp inside to Mackey. That was a good ball. And, well, the referee has given a forward pass, so the scrum will go down with the Leeds put in. Line ball, that I would have thought. So Leeds still have Harkin off the field. Richard Gunn works the scrum in his absence. Paul Delaney, substitute, shakes off the tackle of Richard Price, and looks to make his way up the middle of the field. And Hull have the ball, they've taken the ball in the tackle, and Richard Price brings it away, and Noel Cleal calling to his players to calm it down, to think through their 6 tackles. Rob Nolan goes from acting halfback, just short of the halfway line. Mackie picks up Walker. Cleal has a run himself. Again, he looks dangerous every time he's got the ball. Jackson out to Mackie, Hull move to the right. Mackie spins out of the tackle beautifully. Gets the ball away to Nolan. Nolan a chance for Eastwood, and Eastwood spills it. Well, that looked like a chance to me.
Yes, it was a definite chance. Eastwood had room on the wing there.
Leeds come up with possession, and Gibson has the ball. Tackle count restarted, only 1 yard from his line. It's hard work bringing it to air from there, but Hull penalised for the 2 markers not being in line. And the chance for Leeds to take the pressure off. We have about 9 minutes to go. And whatever the result of this game, the crowd has had plenty of entertainment. Leeds take the second penalty on the quarter line. Dixon brings it up. Hull's tackling is going to be sure now. Richard Gunn gets the ball away to Kuwaiti, makes the break, inside to Irwin. Maskell, good tackle by Jackson, good play by Leeds, good support play, good tackling. Harkin, Bentley, out to the wing, here's Rombo, now then, see how quick this boy is in touch. Marlowe does enough to put him in touch. Well done Ian Marlowe. And excitement at fever pitch now.
He's moved that ball well. I'm quite impressed with this lad Irvin. He did very well again in that movement. It looks a good capture by Leeds. Very good cover defence by Marlowe though.
So the scrum to go down just outside the Hull quarter. Mackie takes it. Here's Eastwood. Richard Gay brings it across and offloads to Webb, but not much on there. Bentley appealing for a knock-on, but the referee having nothing to do with it. John Sharp brings it up. I make it we've got about 7 minutes to go. Sixth tackle. Now, will Mackie kick? He does. But Gallagher takes the ball with some room to move. Gets the ball away to Bentley. Forward. Surely the referee calls it right. Bentley's pass to Irving, fractionally forward.
Cleal tackle well there. Very well. Nice tackle by Cleal on Bentley.
And in fact, the referee has given a penalty for a deliberate forward pass. So the decision is not a scrum, but is a...
The referee thinks Cleal's playing for time, and I think he's probably right.
And Eastwood will kick to the south stand side. 6 minutes to go. We're counting down here. And torpedo kick gets Hull just inside the Leeds half. Dunnett brings it up. And the ball is lost. And the referee awards a scrum. Now I'm surprised he didn't play on or give the penalty there, Brian.
Yeah, I can't understand why the scrum. It was either Leeds ball or Hull's penalty.
Leeds put in at the scrum. It's taken by Harkin, now back on the field. Delaney, Irving. Almost steps to the tackle of Gay. Tackle is made. Bentley come very much into play in the last few minutes, running into the middle of the field off his wing. Gunn. Powell. All tackling still sure. Good quick play of the ball. Harkin. Gunn. Harkin gets it away to Dixon, who finds some room. And here's a good tackle by Lee Jackson, defending when it really counts. Gunn. It's the ball himself, and it's Delaney wriggling out of sharp tackle, 6th tackle. Leeds just inside the whole half. Now what will they try? Harkin. A long ball out to Rombo, who spills the ball, and that's going to be, well, that's hard luck on Hull, because I think it'll be Leeds put in at the scrum. Well, yes, I think that's a weakness in the rules of the game. I think the referees got it right. The ball being thrown away by a Hull player. You could hardly say that was advantage to Hull, Brian.
No, not at all, not at all. Unfortunate piece of play, might be important.
I think the referee's right under the rules as they stand, but I've always felt that was a weakness in the rules.
I think he's right. It's quite right.
So Harkin as they put in. I make it 4 minutes to go. Vital scrum, Leeds should win it. They do. Now then, Delaney, dummies, taken by Richard Price. He had Rombo coming on his outside. Richard Gunn takes the ball up. Still play just inside the whole half. Here's Maskell. Short ball to Kuwaiti. Now that suspicion of a forward pass, but Rombo's brilliantly taken by Greg Mackey and straight into touch. Brilliant defence.
Yeah, I thought it was slightly forward as well, the pass to Rombo.
So the scrum will go down just outside the Hull quarter with 3 minutes to go. From the Hull point of view, this is going to be a long 3 minutes. Well, the ball came out on the Hull side. The referee orders a re-scrum. The referee has awarded a penalty against Mackey at that scrum. I find that a little hard to take. A feeding scrum in the last few minutes of the game, but it gives Leeds a great chance now. Powell takes it up. Dixon this time. Gunn. Leeds moving the ball to the right. I'm sure they're going to try and switch it back to the left, or they're trying to blindside play. Jackson interferes with the ball. It's picked up by... Back to 1. So Hull under intense pressure now. Gunn. Bentley, who's looked very dangerous in the last few minutes. But Cleal takes the ball from him, but it's a knock on. So knock on both sides.
I think it'll be Leeds heading ball again, Steve.
He's given.
Somebody's opened the mouth on the Leeds side. That's Maskell, the captain. That was a real blob. Just 2 minutes to go.
That's the pressure of the game. Leeds lost their discipline there. 2 minutes to go. I tell you, there's some tension up here and on the field. He'll take the second penalty. Lee Jackson takes it himself. Dixon tries to take the ball from him. Mackey to Marlowe. Can Hull hang on? They're inside the Leeds half. John Sharp. He runs from acting halfback, collared by Powell. Mackey. Ian Marlowe. 6th tackle. Now what will Hull try? Mackey's grubber kick over the top. Now it's out to Gallagher. Hull chases a little bit slow. Gallagher's got a bit of room. Gets the ball inside to Bentley. Bentley's still going. The ball out to Irving. And I think it's in touch.
Down to the last minute, that was a mistake by Leeds. It's a scrum and Hull's heading ball. They should win this one and then the Leeds 25.
Ideal position. We have about a minute to go. And Greg Mackey is tackled in the bottom of that scrum, but surely Hull now will just try and play 6 runs from dummy half. Lee Jackson. Into the last minute, I make it. Done it. Clearly, I should think we'll have a run at them. Richard Price runs away from acting halfback, and my goodness, his grip on the ball was tight there. Here's Mackey. Mackey finds Walker. Richard Price has the ball. Out to Gay. Back to 1.
For the game, Steve. Rolled it for 6 again. We're running into injury time.
Right on time. Noel Cleal goes himself. Shot stopped just short. Good tackle by Roy Powell. And is the try awarded? No. Made it dead. A leap.
Yes, the decision was that Gallagher had made the ball dead before Cleland.
So Leeds drop out from under their own posts. Into injury time. We're well into injury time. Walker takes the ball. Charges at the Leeds defence. Inside the 25 again. Hull finishing the game in the area they would like to. Time of the essence now. And that penalty awarded for a Leeds player ripping the ball out. What's the tackle being completed? The Leeds fans beginning to stream away. Some of them have given it up. And Greg Mackey calling out his men. Great encouragement, he's determined. Now it's vital if Eastwood isn't successful with his kick that he makes it dead. (24-22). Eastwood's kick is across the post. He hasn't made it dead. And there it is! There it is! A famous victory for Hull. A fine game, a game of great entertainment, and I think a deserved win for the Black and Whites. They really have come here to Headingley today. They started very well in the game. Early in the second half, Leeds came back into it, went 8 points ahead, and at that stage it looked a real battle for Hull. But they've shown tremendous determination and guts to come back from that. And prospective coach Noel Cleal, as he takes the accolades of the fans, no doubt delighted, and he's played a splendid role in this win. And really, Hull have looked a good side today. And the way they've come back in the second half has been marvellous, hasn't it, Brian?
It really has. When they went 22-14 down, I think we're a little bit worried. But then Cleal really came into his own. Cleal's obviously at the latter end of his career, and you can't really say he runs about the field like a 2-year-old, but when he comes onto that ball anywhere within 20 yards of the line, he's absolutely devastating. And certainly Leeds found out today, same as St Helens did last week. A wonderful performance by Hull. They really kept ahead in the last 5 minutes. I never thought they'd lose when they got to 24-22, Steve. I know it's easy to say now, but I thought they controlled the game pretty well in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, they certainly did. Who would you pick out as Hull's outstanding players today?
Well, difficult. I was very, very impressed with Marlowe. I thought Marlowe was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. His tackle, clearly he hasn't got the penetration on the run that Carl Harrison has, but his tackle, I'd like to see his tackle count. Not only does he tackle often, he tackles very hard. Dannett had his usual game, Jackson. I don't think we had a real weakness. I think probably Ontal learnt quite a lot today about scrum half play. He clearly learnt more from Paul Harkin this week than he did from Jonathan Griffiths last week.
Well, what a win. And Hull players reluctant to go back to the dressing room. They're taking the accolades of the sizable Hull contingent who've made it here today. But this has been a famous win in a splendid game. And Leeds, I thought, midway through the second half, looked to have got control of the game, but defensive weakness inside their own quarter particularly, I think, has cost them dear.
I think the 10 minutes when Harkin was off were vital for Leeds, because they lost all pattern and they never regained it for the rest of the game.
So Brian Smith, who's bound back to Sydney in a few months' time, certainly no lack of joy in his face at the moment as the Hull supporters give that team a tremendous ovation. Well, 2 games gone, 2 wins. Witness next week. Bring them on, Brian.
Who knows? I hope we've had 2 real heart-stopping games. I hope next week we beat Widnes comfortably.
Well, it'll certainly take us a week to recover. So, as the players leave the field here at Headingley, a reminder of this score. Leeds 22, Hull 24. Fine victory for the early birds, and it sees them go to the top of the Stonesbitter First Division Championship tonight. From Headingley, from Brian Hallwell and myself, Steve Alderson, it's goodbye.